Hey, what's up, guys? 01. Today I'm going to be speaking to you about Dutch, the film. It stars Ed O'Neill, JoBeth Williams, Christopher McDonald, and Ethan Embry. And this film was shot back in 1991. It's you could say not a classic. It has its years. There you go. Now, this is one of the best, I guess, roles that Ed O'Neill shines, because I grew up watching Ed O'Neill on Married with Children, and his character from Married with Children and this one are very much different. Ed O'Neill's character in Dutch is a working class man. He's kind of like a guy who's a guy from worked from ground up, to become the man he is, and he really loves this woman, Natalie. And Natalie has this really bad relationship with her ex-husband and also with her son. And her ex-husband uses her son to basically manipulate her and to make her do things that she doesn't want to do. And that's where Dutch comes in, and he delivers as a boyfriend and also as a future father to Doyle, because Doyle is a character, or he's an individual that's very spoiled and very self-centered. He's very focused on me, myself, and I, and that's it. And nobody really likes him. I mean, there's this one scene where he is actually at his boarding school, and he gets a call that he's not able to go hang out with his father during Thanksgiving, and that's where all the students were there just listening to him, and they just start teasing him, and it just shows you that he's not very much liked. So Dutch goes all the way to the boarding school in Georgia to get him back, and it's a very interesting trip because they actually go from Georgia to Chicago, and they pass different sceneries, different areas where where it's raining, snowing, or when the leaves are falling. So you really get like a picture of the Midwest, and I like that because it really looked beautiful. Another thing that I really liked about it was the growth of Doyle, the character, and how he goes from being this snotty, spoiled kid to actually being this kid that's grateful to having his mom in his life, and also for having Dutch. Even though he despises Dutch so much, he looks at him like he's nobody important because of his elitist ways. And I think that was pretty cool. And I also love the scenes between Dutch and Doyle, because it shows how different they are in characters and personalities, and how little by little Dutch begins to win him over, and he begins to teach him things that he never was taught before. And I think that was so cool, because Dutch tries throughout the entire film to do his best to teach him to have fun, to teach him to look at things a different way. And it's basically like a father-son trip. They go on this trip. They can't stand each other in a sense, but it's a learning lesson for Doyle. What I do warn is that there's, I think, 2 scenes that that you can fast forward through, and those scenes are dealing with a deck of cards that Dutch bought. These deck of cards have very sensual pictures of women. So those scenes, I think there's only 2 of them. Yeah, 2 of them. So once you see the deck of cards, just fast forward. Another thing that it really threw me off in the film, and I didn't like it, was these 2 characters who were prostitutes. I think the reason why they put them there is because they needed a really awkward moment, or a really awkward scene for Doyle and Dutch to be in, and to get them from point A to point B. And I think they also added it in because Doyle's character is not a person that women would like to be around, and that by that time he's already maturing and communicating with the opposite sex, or trying to learn to communicate with the opposite sex, because of his tendencies, or his hormones kicking in. I think another thing that I also didn't really approve of was there's a scene where there's these security guards, and Doyle and Dutch have to face him, and somehow Doyle takes him on Jack Chan style, and to me it just looks so fake, real fake. Another thing that I just felt like it was just lacking was it was certain times it felt like it was repeating itself. It was repeating itself, like the same type of, not scenarios, but the same type of dialogue was going between Doyle and Dutch. The same thing over and over. Like, you know, Doyle kept on continuing complaining to Dutch about it's his mother's fault. It's his mother's fault. Another thing that kept on coming up is Dutch telling him, hey, you know, you think you're better than anybody else because you're rich, you know, or because you were born to a certain family, or because, you know, what was it? Your dad has a lot of money. That kept on coming up over and over again. And I mean, I understand why you have to bring it back over and over again, so you can actually have continuous dialogue between two characters that kind of relates to their flaws. And you see that in certain times in certain films, especially the character-driven films, where it's like the same thing keeps on repeating, but in a different way. You know, like Place Beyond the Pines. You know, you kept seeing the sins of the father falling to the sins or to the children. And in this one, it's kind of like it's very, very much similar. The dialogue is like, oh man, it's over and over again. You will find very much corny dialogue. You will find very much corny scenes. But at the end of it, you see how Doyle grows, and you see how Dutch wins him over, and how they become very much father and son. I mean, you also have interaction with people who are broke and poor, and Doyle, you know, sees them and he has compassion for them, and he understands what they go through, because he loses the money and Dutch loses money, and they can't get back to Chicago without, you know, hitchhiking. So they have to come across certain individuals that are very, very shady, and at the same time differently in their background, and also they're not well off as both of them are. So that really speaks volumes to the characters, you know. I think another thing that I really liked was Ed O'Neill. Ed O'Neill really shines in this film. He really did. Even though it was strange because the film bombed at the box office big time, like bad. But one thing I could definitely say about Ed O'Neill is Ed O'Neill did a fantastic job. I mean, you see those scenes where he really tries to do his best and winning Doyle over. Really tries to do his best in being a father figure, and he does excellent. He does an excellent job, and that's one of the things that really kept me hooked to the film was Ed O'Neill's character. Really kept me hooked, where it's like, you know, he keeps on trying constantly, and that's so cool. Do I recommend it for the family? Yes, I do recommend it for the family. Now, how old your kids are, that's another thing. I don't recommend this film for kids who are basically between, you know, 12 and under, or if not, no, forget that, 13 and under. Forget that. You know, don't show these kids, you know, certain things that they shouldn't be seeing. So, but if your kids are 16, 17, 18 years old, go for it. Show it to them. I guess you guys will, well, I definitely know you guys will have a blast, especially in those scenes dealing with Ed O'Neill trying to persuade Doyle to basically, you know, be mature or grow up or not be such a spoiled brat. He really, you know, he really shines. Ed O'Neill really shines in this film. Oh, another thing. There's going to be 2 or 3 cuss words that come out in this film. So if you guys have an editor or a DVD that takes out the cuss words, you should use it. And thank you so much, guys. You guys have a great day. Jesus is King. And until next time, bye.